good. I got you.
Dunbar, you're doing really good, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I've been playing the Arma franchise for quite some time. A lot of my time, as you can probably see from my channel, has been in Arma 3, more specifically with Milsim. Not that long ago, I had the opportunity to finally test out what Milsim was like in Arma Reforger with a group known as Shadow Division. Having spent countless hours in the immersive world of Arma 3 Milsim, I was eager to see how Arma Reforger measures up. So in this video, I'll share with you some of my first impressions of Milsim and Reforger. I'll compare it with the current state of Arma 3 Milsim and give you other insight that might help you decide if you too want to make that leap. If by the end of this video you found what I said helpful, please like, subscribe, share, comment, and consider giving a super thanks for this video. Also, let me know if you'd want to see more of this. So let's begin by looking at what I experienced in my first mission. Going into this, there were a lot of things that I figured were going to be different than what I had experienced in Arma 3, but I was excited to see what had changed, especially with many considering Reforger to be a testbed for Arma 4. Understanding how Milsim works in Arma Reforger could help me see what the future of the Arma franchise could be. So let's dive into it. As I was looking for a unit, I searched in the same places that I had looked for units in the past. I eventually found Shadow Division through our Find a Unit on Reddit. Joining the unit, the Discord, and the whole process was exactly the same from what I was used to in Arma 3. While one would expect this to be similar, it was comforting to know that this process remains the same, which means the barrier to entry in Reforger Milsim compared to Arma 3 is about the same. The things that were different came when I got into Arma Reforger. Mods in Reforger appear to be just as important to the experiences in Arma 3, though it took a little bit to figure out how I would get the required mods for the server. One feature of Arma Reforger that I loved was that when you join a server, all the required mods will be updated or subscribed to, and that stood out to me as a major positive. This way everyone has the right mods, they're running the same version, and mod management is even easier. So you could say goodbye to sharing HTML files on Discord, having to drag the mod pack into the launcher, and teaching people this process, which for some was very counterintuitive. When looking at some of the mods, there were some that were very familiar, ACE and RHS for example. There were mods that were there for quality of life purposes, like for better sounds or navigating the arsenal, and there were mods that allowed us to spend time doing what people love most, playing Battlefield Barbie at the arsenal. One thing to note though is that even though I saw ACE and RHS, they didn't have everything that Arma 3 has in terms of their total features. It was nice to see the same pain indicator in Reforger as in Arma 3 when using ACE because I knew what I needed to do at that point. However, many features of ACE that I was used to, I was not able to interact with. From what I understand, features from ACE are going to be ported over into Reforger at some point, and this isn't a slight against Reforger or the ACE mod in Reforger, it's just a recognition that the mods in Arma Reforger are still maturing. There were some other things that were different than Arma 3 due to the mods as well. Sorting through gear, selecting weapon attachments, using your radio, and a number of other different things. Overall, in this case, I was pleasantly surprised at my experience though. There were things that were different enough that if you choose to move to Reforger, I really want to stress at looking at investing in training with your unit. I dreaded doing that in Arma 3 because after you've played it long enough, a lot of the things that you learn, especially in basic training, gets repetitive. Do not feel that way if transitioning to Reforger. Enough is different to justify the statement that you will need to learn new ways of doing things and how to play the game and even some of the controls. To understand how important it is to learn how to play with your unit, when I asked about certain keybinds, I got asked in return, are you on PC or Xbox? And at first I got taken aback because I forgot about Xbox players on Reforger as well. The people you might be playing with may not even be on the same system as you, and they may not be able to help you, especially in the middle of combat. Now, once I got things mostly figured out, we had moved out, and that was quite refreshing because in mission, rolling with these guys felt just like playing in Arma 3. And I'll be first to say that the best part of Arma Milsim is the relationships you make with the people. And it's also fun to be able to tackle challenges strategically and have a role in the overall success or failure of a mission, which that is always a thrill. Arma Reforger in this regard felt like all the good times that I've had in Arma 3 Milsim. I think part of that feeling also came from a sense of skills and an environment that felt familiar. In my first ever Arma 3 mission, I volunteered as a new recruit to stand in as the automatic rifleman for someone who didn't show. And I remember my first mission in Arma 3 vividly, like nervously taking on this role of automatic rifleman. In Reforger, the nostalgia hit me as I was asked to do the same with Shadow Division. So just like in Arma 3, I was providing accuracy through volume and suppressing enemy forces, albeit with a unique optic on my M249 for the first part of the mission. Even at the end of the mission and during the debrief, it felt like Arma 3. I did chuckle though, as some of the same things that I have heard in every other debrief in Arma 3 ever came up. Things like, we need to work on spacing, or discussions about 360 security, how comms could have been better, and whether we should be taking certain kinds of equipment with us. You know, the stuff that will never ever be fixed or will ever be true to life, since everybody wants to be in the action, and the worst consequence when things don't go right is you just simply respawn. But during that debrief, there were some things that were brought up regarding technical challenges to the game, and I think it is important to point this out because Reforger is still in early access. There are some features that are missing from the game that some might say are key to the Milsim experience. For example, at the time I played the game, AI drivers were not implemented in Mission, and so that meant Zeus, or Game Master as it's called in Reforger, has to have their attention taken away from developing and overseeing the mission so they can drive enemy vehicles. Now, since that mission, Reforger has gotten an update on where this has been implemented, and the most recent update seems to represent a good step forward. To understand how the progress of game development could be impacted, I'll put a roadmap of development in the description below, or at least a link to it. So you'll see a lot of progress has been made since launch, and there are some things that I look forward to in order to make things even better. So to summarize all of this, you can certainly have a great experience with Arma Reforger and with Milsim. I would say about 75% of the experience is in Arma Reforger compared to what you'll see in Arma 3. There is a larger gap that exists for some of the more specialized positions and niches in Arma, such as medic, sniper, especially if you rely on the highly realistic ace settings in Arma 3, and providing close air support. However, for someone like me who loves being a grunt on the ground, will find that the experience is certainly there. I would argue that Arma 3 does provide a more immersive experience at this point too than Arma Reforger. But I think that so much of that is due to the 11 years that Arma 3 has been out. In that time, so much has been invested into developing content, modifications by the community in Bohemia Interactive that provide that level of immersion. And yes, there are things with the Infusion engine, with Arma Reforger and its mods that still need to be ironed out, but I have confidence that more will be there in the future. I think an important question for us to ask, though, is how much realism and immersion will be enough for us to start playing, or how much we want to wait for in the future. Because one thing that I loved about Reforger was meeting people on Xbox who had not played Arma before. That means that there is the potential to form more friendships or to play the game with a wider player base than ever before. That accessibility to consoles may come at the sacrifice of some things that we are used to. I don't know if this is true, but one example I can think of is the Ace medical system. When fully implemented into Reforger, there's a possibility that it might look and function very differently than it does now in Arma 3 to accommodate consoles. Now, I fully understand that there are some people who are perfectly comfortable knowing that you can have a ton of fun in Reforger and have a very similar experience without some of the things that you have used in Arma 3, while others might want to keep playing Arma 3 for as long as they can to have that most immersive experience ever. And I can't make that call for you. But either way, I do think that trying Arma Reforger Milsim is worth it. If you're looking for a group, I'll put a link to the Shadow Division Discord in the description below. I did appreciate the differences in the familiarity, though, that Arma Reforger brought compared to Arma 3. And if you're like the many people I know who played Reforger when it came out and really haven't touched it since, I think the progress that it has made in development and with the addition of several key mods will present you with a very different experience than you might have had previously. So, thank you to Shadow Division for letting me tag along. You guys were absolutely awesome, and I had a lot of fun, and I can't wait to be back, because I certainly will play with you guys again sometime soon. Also, thank you all for watching this video as I analyzed Arma Reforger and Arma 3 Milsim. If you found this comparison helpful or have any questions, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, share the video with your fellow gamers, leave a comment below to keep the conversation going, and let me know about your own experiences with Arma 3 or Reforger. Additionally, let me know if you're interested in seeing some Arma Reforger Milsim content, and I'll definitely post something in the future if that's what you want. Either way, as always, thank you for watching, and Warfighters, I've got your 6.